Welcome to the Michael D. Show. I'm so glad you're here. We're coming at you from a remote location. Great show lined up today. Amazing guests from around the world. Don't go anywhere. Share the link. Let me know where you're watching from, and welcome to the Michael D. Show. Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org. And I don't remember exactly why. I don't celebrate birthdays. I just don't celebrate birthdays. And I don't remember exactly why I quit celebrating birthdays. Maybe it was because on my 16th birthday, my parents happened to be both out of town on business trips. I mean, it was just my 16th birthday. I was getting my driver's license, growing up on the farm in Oklahoma. My brother checked me out of school in third hour and took me to the DMV. Now, I'd studied hard for that test. I wanted to pass it. I wanted my freedom. And that was a Monday. And the reason I know it was a Monday is because the guy that did the test, he only did the test on Monday. And I was so proud. I came out and I had my picture, weighing 136 pounds, sophomore. Right there, I got my ticket to freedom. So he takes me to the Pizza Hut, and we're eating pizza, and we're celebrating. And I get to drive my car back to the school, and I get to drive my car home that day. We had planned it that way. But that night, it was quiet, and it was lonely, and it was empty in the house. There was no birthday song, there was no celebration or birthday gifts, and there was no birthday cake. My brother, who would go on to be valedictorian, would study every night in his room. He was in his room. There was no internet. There was no social media. There was nothing. It was just quiet. Maybe the reason I don't celebrate birthdays is when I turned 40, Dad calls me the day before my birthday and says, "Son, let's celebrate your birthday tomorrow." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great. I've got a lot to celebrate. Let's do it." He said, "Tomorrow at your favorite restaurant, 12 noon. I said, "You bet. I'll see you there." Hang up the phone. The next morning, he shows up at the restaurant at 11:50. Dad was always early. He grew up on the dairy farm, and I was always right on time. So 12 o'clock came. I didn't show up. 12:05 comes. He's a little worried. He's texting and calling. It goes straight to voicemail. 12:15, he's like, "What's going on?" At 12:25, he calls the hospital. "Where's my son?" 12:45, he drives home to tell my mom, "Michael didn't show up." Where was I? Was I in the hospital? No. I was in jail. Because on the eve of my 40th birthday, I went to the bar alone to drink, got into a bar fight, and spent the night of my 40th birthday in jail. What was it about this self-sabotage that the pain was so great that a root of bitterness was growing in my heart at a subterranean level, affecting everything in my life and everyone that I touched in a negative way? I couldn't figure it out. This year, May 10th, I was all ready to celebrate my birthday. Very excited. Friends were coming over at 2 p.m. We had the whole thing planned out. And I hear a noise coming from my wife's bedroom. And I think, oh, maybe she's wrapping gifts. Maybe she's making a cake. And I go in and check on her. I say, "What's going on?" And she says, "I'm leaving." "Oh, where are you going? You going to town to get something?" "No, I'm leaving." "What do you mean you're leaving? Everybody's coming over at 2 o'clock today." And she says, "I'm leaving for good." She takes her suitcase, and as she goes to the front door, and she says, "And I'm not coming back." And she slams the door. And that was the last I heard from her. I'll never forget when I was 7 years old, I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I'm going to live to be 120. And I think in my subconscious mind, I knew I needed that much time to redeem the root of bitterness and create what my therapist called a root of blessing. My therapist said there's two things you need to do to reverse the curse of bitterness and create blessing in your family and to bring it back. And you need to forgive yourself and you need to celebrate. Well, I was good at forgiving myself because I had screwed up a lot and I forgave a lot. And she said, celebrate yourself, come on. And that was my theme song. And I sat there in jail and said, I'm going to run a marathon this year. And Michael, Matthew, Joshua, and Jeremiah, my 4 sons, they stepped out of the participant or the spectator in the last 3 miles. They ran with me in 2008 and crossed that finish line with me. And as I told my sons, I said, sons, I am celebrating your birthday, but guess what? Next year, I'm celebrating my birthday on May the 10th, and all of you are invited. Celebrate with me.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, Global Book Publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org. All right. It's awesome. It's awesome day. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Michael D. Show. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Global Book Publisher, Michael D. Butler. I'm coming at you from Tulsa, Oklahoma today. And we've got an epic show lined up. We've got some epic guests lined up. And it's also, Christmas month. We're looking at, this is the month of the Savior's birth. We're looking at Christmas this year. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope there was a lot that you were thankful for. I know I am. I know I was. I know it's been epic for us, my family, my children, my 2 grandsons. I'm actually here in my parents' home today and spending some time with them before I start out on a global tour. And I'll update you more on that. But I want to know what you're thankful for. I want to know where you're watching from. I want to know what was the biggest thing for you in 2023? What was the biggest struggle? What was the biggest challenge? What was the biggest victory? What was the biggest speed bump? What was the biggest setback? I'm sharing that NASDAQ speech, and my coach, Clint Arthur, said, share something that's truly authentic, share something that's truly vulnerable. And that was the most vulnerable thing I could think of, getting arrested and spending the night of my 40th birthday in jail. That's pretty low. And so that's being very vulnerable with you there. But at that low point in my life, I reflected. I made a lot of decisions then. I decided to run a marathon 6 months from then. I decided, on my birthday, because it was on my bucket list at the age of 40. By the age of 40, I was going to run my first marathon. And normally you need a year to train for a marathon. And I did it in 6 months. I joined a running group and I got accountable. I put it out there on social media and I said by my birthday this year, by the end of the year, my birthday, May the 10th, spending the night in jail and saying, I am going to run a marathon, the Route 66 Marathon, November 18th in 2008. And the first day I went out and I ran a block and was out of breath. Next day I put on my shoes, went a block and 2 mailboxes and couldn't breathe, need to call 911. And I just said, somehow I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm a couch potato. I'm overweight. And I was not in shape. I was not working out at all. And I realized I was going to need some help, some third-party help. So I went to Google and I ordered running shoes. And then this ad pops up for a running group called Fleet Feet right in my hometown of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I clicked on that link. I joined a running club that day. I went in and got fitted for my running clothes and my running shoes and joined the group, started running that week, started training that week. And, when it came to training, if you train for a marathon, let me know, put in the chat if you've ever trained for a marathon and ran a marathon. One of our authors in California ran a marathon this last Sunday, just 2 days ago. And, it's a goal. It's something that you look forward to. It's something you mark off your bucket list. It's something you train for. It's something that you have to have a team around you to help you. You have to have a coach. You have to have your support staff, making sure you're hydrated, making sure you're properly got the gear you need and everything. And so it's something that you don't do on your own. It's something that you need preparation. You need a team. And so by holding yourself accountable, by saying, I am going to XYZ by the end of the year. I am going to do this in 2024. You know, we're coming into the time of year of it's Christmas, it's the holidays, it's family, it's football, it's all that. But it's also thinking about what are your goals for 2024? Did you accomplish what you wanted to for 2023? Are you gonna bust your butt to make it happen by the end of 2024 here? Listen, we're in the last bit of the last quarter of the year. We're in the last 28 days of the year. You could still make something happen right now. 27 days left in this year. You could still make something happen. Whatever your goals are, we're hitting our goals. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning to ensure our company is hitting our goals. Whatever it takes to hit those goals. It's never easy to hit a goal. It's never easy to roll out of bed when it's 5 a.m. and it's 20 degrees outside and you've got to go run 18 or 20 miles. But the thing that makes it easier is that you've got a running club, you've got a running group, you've got a group of people around you to help you run. So I want you to sign up for the next book writing webinar at Beyond Webinar, and I'm going to teach you how to write your book in an hour. And it's based on my best-selling book, Book Idea to Bestseller. And I came out with the first edition of this book about 6 years ago. And this book has helped thousands of people write a best-selling book. I show you how to turn your idea into a bestseller in 30 days. And it's very systematic. It's like, what do you put on the back cover of the book? How do you do the table of contents? The most popular chapter in here is how to write a chapter in 20 minutes. I literally show you and take you through my formula of how I write a chapter in 20 minutes, which is the same formula I use to prepare a sermon, a message, a keynote talk, or a workshop in 20 minutes, knowing exactly who your audience is, knowing exactly the action you want them to take, and then reverse engineering that chapter, reverse engineering that book where I show you how to write the book backwards and create a movement around your book and create a revenue stream and a business around the book. And that's what I teach you how to do in this webinar and in the book, Book Idea to Bestseller in 30 days. So go to beyondwebinar.com right now, RSVP. The next one we're doing is right after Christmas toward the end of the year here. And it's the last Saturday of this year. And everybody's going to be stuffed and their credit cards are going to be maxed out. And you're going to say, I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to launch my book in 2024. It's going to be epic. We had so many people come in on the Black Friday and Cyber Monday promo. It was just incredible. I had to stay up past midnight. I never stay up past midnight because I'm interested in my beauty sleep. At my age, you need all you can get. I go to bed early. I'm a 9 p.m.er. I go to bed early. And we just had so many people sign up. And around the country, around the world, people internationally as well. This is not a sponsor, but I love it because it has no sugar in it. And you feel like you're getting a soda because it's carbonated. It's got a little blackberry flavor in there. It's kind of nice. Little blackberry bubbly. So anyway, whatever it takes to stay creative. I teach you how to write at the same time every day. Did you know just by simply writing at the same time every day, it tricks your mind and your body into getting creative? It's just like going to the gym. There's an endorphin release when you go to the gym. Half of the battle is just getting there. And so the fact that you're sitting down at the computer and you're writing at the same time in the same location every day, even if it's just one word, even if it's just one sentence, but the fact that you're showing up, my time is 5 a.m. I show up at 5 a.m. I write every day at the same time. Sometimes I'll write 10 pages. Sometimes I'll only write 10 words. But the fact that I'm writing every day, my creative juices are flowing and I'm getting better every day. Now, some people don't write every day because it's what I call the Ernest Hemingway syndrome. And what is the Ernest Hemingway syndrome? And that is they say, well, because I'm not Ernest Hemingway, I'm not going to write. They're perfectionists and they're afraid because if their book is not perfect, they're not going to release it to the world. Listen, you're never going to be Ernest Hemingway. I'm never going to be Ernest Hemingway. In fact, Ernest Hemingway was never even Ernest Hemingway until he published his first book. And guess what? Ernest Hemingway had some typos in his book. It had some grammatical errors. There were some semicolons that should have been commas. There were some commas that should have been semicolons. That happens with New York Times bestselling authors all the time. But the difference is, rather than wait and hesitate and miss the market share and miss the momentum, they pull the trigger anyway. Pull that trigger. Listen, speed to market is huge. And I talk about in Book Idea to Bestseller, it's how to get your book to market quickly. I even show you how to use AI in this book. I show you what to do and what not to do to get banned. How do you keep yourself from getting banned? How do you leverage the good aspects of artificial intelligence and Chat GPT without actually getting penalized for using them? Okay, so there's a right way and a wrong way. You don't actually yet let Chat GPT and AI write your book. No, that would be stupid, because the question that we're asked of the distributor when we load your book into global distribution is, did you use artificial intelligence and Chat GPT to write the book? We've got to say no. And so if you're telling us you use Chat GPT, guess what? That's going to penalize us. That's going to hurt us. Yes, use Chat GPT for research. Use Chat GPT to organize your table of contents. Use Chat GPT to help you hook the reader and get the reader reading past page 9. Did you know the average reader never reads past page 9? So we want to get them reading through your book and turning the page. Did you know if a total stranger reads your entire book, they're ready to spend $20,000 with you? That's exactly right. If they've spent the time to read your entire book and it's meant that much to them, they feel like they've got a relationship with you. They know you. At that point, they want to spend money with you. They want to invest money with you. So the question is, what do you have? What else do you have that they can buy? Do you have other books? Do you have a coaching program and a mastermind tied into your book? Do you have a QR code or at least a website in your book where they can get on your calendar and learn more about you? I mean, if you're in the business of growing your business, right? Wouldn't it make sense to have a QR code in your book that leads to your calendar? And, if you're a coach, a consultant on wellness, relationships, insurance, finance, makes sense, right? Because they've read your book. They want everything you've got. They're ready to buy. So get them on your calendar and sell to them. But also you're interviewing them, you're educating them, you're deciding whether or not you want to take them on as a client. So in Finding the Speaker's Edge, a lot of my authors are speakers. A lot of my authors are speakers. And hey, that sounds great. A lot of authors are speakers. And so this book has actually, because I've been training speakers for years, I've given 3,000 paid talks in the faith community, the nonprofit community, and the corporate world, the business world. And my favorite, which is in the entrepreneurial space, where you host your own event. I show you in Finding the Speaker's Edge how to host your own event, how to get on stages, how to be a paid professional speaker. Maybe you've been speaking part-time. This is turning your part-time passion, your full-time speaking career, speaking on stage and online. Mark Victor Hansen says, study this book and memorize every word Butler says. His coaching is outstanding. And so just great reviews on finding your voice, picking a lane, monetizing your keynote, creating a workshop and a mastermind around your keynote, building an online community. It's all in here. And it's all good stuff. There's checklist in here. There's contracts on how to negotiate, how to get the speaking gig, how to get the endorsement, how to get invited back. All of that is so important. So I want to know where you're watching from. Tell me what platform you're watching on and what where you're watching from, where you're located today, and tell me your biggest faith goal for 2024. Tell me your biggest dream. I got to tell you a couple things. Over the years, I found myself in these winter months heading to warmer climates. I found myself going to business conferences in Florida or in California or in Mexico or in Costa Rica or in, you name it, warmer climate, Bahamas. And so I'm going to be doing some of that. So stay tuned. We've got authors in 64 countries. So it's so important to me to get out and see these authors. It's so important for me to connect with these authors. And one thing we're going to be doing at the end of the year here, if you love sitting around the campfire and telling stories, I want you to save your seat at thursdaynight.live. And this is going to be a great time of fellowship. This is going to be a great time of connection with authors, speakers, experts, and movers and shakers around the globe. So I want you to RSVP for Thursday Night Live coming up at the end of December. This is a great time to reflect, to be thankful, to share your story. We're going to have some people that are going to bring us songs, some people that are going to bring us stories, some people that are going to bring us some comedy. Come share your story of what you're going to be doing in 2024 so we can partner with you, be a part of what you're doing, sharing what you're doing. And I want to thank everyone that was here last week. Everyone that was here last week. It was epic. We did the Giving Tuesday. In fact, I'm going to share my screen and pull it up because you guys were epic. I'm going to share my screen, and we raised so much funds for 1040 Impact, our nonprofit that rescues kids from human trafficking. And I'm going to share the entire screen, and boom. When you go to givebutter.com/1040, this is our giving page for 1040 Impact. We've raised 82% of our goal of 10,000. You can see on the screen there. And wow, it was just epic. I appreciate Roy Snar for co-hosting with me last week here for 2 hours on the show. And we had donors from all over the country that were giving and sharing. In fact, you can see right there, we had some epic connections with individual donors from $40 all the way up to $500 last week, put us at 82% of our goal, 8,286. And we're just about, what would that be? We're just about $1,700 short of our goal, which we should hit that this week with your help. So thank you very much. You can go to givebutter.com/1040, and that helps us take care of our girls. It helps us take care of our kids that we've rescued from human trafficking. You can see it right there. I think I'm sharing the screen now. We're at 82% of our goal. And thank you so much. The kids that we've rescued from human trafficking, including our 54 that we rescued from Afghanistan when their parents were so desperate that they sold them into slavery. And you can make a one-time or a monthly gift right there. That is tax deductible. We are a recognized nonprofit 501c3 charity. And there's our EIN number, and we'll send you a tax deductible letter. In fact, I had the opportunity to speak. My dad was speaking at the men's prayer on Saturday at his church. And so he asked me to come and share. So I was able to share over there, and that was a blessing. So, yeah, I'm going to do that one more time to be sure you can see the screen. There you go. Right there. givebutter.com/1040, and you are a blessing. Thank you so much. And we're going to be sharing the Christmas party from Pakistan, and you'll see a lot of those videos. I'll be speaking. Some of my team will be speaking. You met Pastor Julie Schrecker, senior executive pastor of Movement Church in Carlsbad, California. She was on last week. Charlie Jones, my other board member from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, who was there, who was with us on the most recent trip to Pakistan, and our beloved Pastor John, who's leading the team on the ground, who's born and raised in Pakistan, our team leader, supervising and leading our team of 25 full-time staff there in Pakistan. The other thing I noticed a few years ago is, as I traveled all over the world, I noticed that immigrants, and particularly female immigrants, would come here, not know the language, not have the resources, not know anybody. And a few years later, they would be millionaires and be starting companies and hiring people and doing amazing things. And so I said it would be really cool to feature some of these women in a book series called Powerful Female Immigrants. And you saw Alona's comment there. She was a part of volume 1. You can see her there on the back. And so we thought we would just do one volume of 24 ladies and telling their amazing stories. And you know what? Volume 1 turned into volume 2, turned into volume 3. Now it's turned into volume 4 that we are launching in the spring. So volume 4 is about halfway full. If you know a powerful female immigrant who has done some amazing things, has built something from nothing, is really doing a good work in the world, either she has a nonprofit, or she has a business that she's just being a blessing in the world, and her story needs to be recognized, and you want her to be considered, go to powerfulfemaleimmigrants.com. You can message me. In fact, I'll put my contact information into the chat here in a minute. But if you go to powerfulfemaleimmigrants.com, you can see the page is built out there with all the info. And I think my contact information is on that page as well. But do get a message to me. We would love to consider her before it's too late and add her to this powerful female immigrant movement and make her a part of the podcast, the TV studio, get her story out to the world, create an Amazon best-selling author. It's a great way for, a woman that says, hey, I need a book, but I know it's a lot of work to write my own book. Why don't I contribute a chapter into Powerful Female Immigrants? And so it's been a great way for us to get the word out on these 100 plus women that have been a part of these 4 volumes. And we may do a 5th volume depending on how it goes, because the momentum has been so incredible with the ladies at powerfulfemaleimmigrants.com. Speaking of Asia there, we appreciate you guys. God bless you guys. Good to see you. And powerfulfemaleimmigrants.com, we're actually going to do a volume for the men. A lot of the men have been asking, and they've got amazing stories, and a lot of the women have been referring to the men in their life and saying, hey, I know a powerful male immigrant. And so it's going to be called The Immigrant Men. And so that's what we're going to share, The Immigrant Men. And so 100% of the proceeds from the Immigrant series published by Beyond goes to 1040 Impact and telling the story of 1040impact.org. So we're glad you're here. You're watching The Michael D. Show. Faith, family, business, and culture. It's the month of December. It's the month of our Lord's birth. We're celebrating all month long. Check it out.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
All right. We are glad you're here. We love to have guests from all over the world. And so our next guest is from Pasadena, California. He's a best-selling author and a speaker. And we're going to say, Roger, can you open your camera, sir? We would love to see you. Welcome to the Michael D. Show. We're glad you're here. We'll be checking back in with Roger in a minute, but I'm going to share a little bit from my book, Book Idea to Bestseller. And if you've been thinking about writing a book, the big challenging part for most people is just getting started. How do I get started? Staring at that indomitable blank screen, and it's just staring at you. But it's very important to realize who is your reader? What do you want your reader to do? What action do you want them to take? Are you writing a book to get more clients? Are you writing a book to increase credibility? Maybe you're writing a book to get on more stages or more podcasts. Well, that's important. Speakers bureaus say you're 68% more likely to get booked on a podcast or a stage because you, over the other guests, have a book. I've been asked to be in New York next week. I'm going to be a part of a TV studio interview and be sharing my story about our publishing company and our nonprofit 1040 Impact, simply because I've got a book. And because I've got books, I was on a podcast last week, and the podcast host hired me to publish her next book and invited me to be in the TV studio in New York, and it's aired nationally from Los Angeles to New York, the show. So I'll be sharing clips of that show. So why do you want to write a book? Who are you writing a book for? What action do you want the reader to take? Do you want your book to be fiction or nonfiction? 70% of global book consumption is fiction books. So if you're writing a how-to book, maybe it's how to do a process, how to stage your home for selling, how to improve your credit score to buy a home, how to get into multifamily real estate as a real estate agent. It could be any topic, and you can niche down. And see, that is the most important thing. The more niche your topic is and your book is, A, the more books you're going to sell, and B, the more opportunity you're going to have as a result of that book. So the reason I wrote this book is I wrote Book Idea to Bestseller as a lead magnet. And then I also wrote this book to get on more stages. And in fact, I did a quickie in July. I already had completed the 52 author videos on 52 author secrets, which was originally 52 author tips. I decided to update the name to had more positive feedback from 52 author secrets. And based on the 52 frequently asked questions I get from authors that are launching their first time book. How do I get global distribution? How do I go #1 on Amazon? If you go to 52authorsecrets.com, you'll see it directs to the YouTube channel with all of the videos. Yeah. And so mind mapping your book. So mind mapping your book is a big deal when it comes to organizing your chapters, your table of contents, and it will also help ensure that you don't leave any important things out. Leverage the right tools to make writing easier. Writing is harder for some people than others. You know, basically in high school and college, I noticed that there were some people that were really good at math. I was not one of them. And there are some people that are really good with writing and organizing their thoughts. And writing to me came easily. Writing an essay, writing a chapter, writing a summary. I loved essay questions. That's so much better than algebra questions. So do the research. Is there a demand for my book? The business of book sales, building a business on the back end of your book. This is so important, and a lot of authors don't realize or think about it, that you want to figure out, why am I writing this book? Who am I writing this book for? What genres make the most money? That's very important. Here's another one, the power of interviewing experts to create a virtual stage of influence. Very powerful to make you the go-to expert, to make you the brand, is you interview the people that are truly already the brand experts in that space. And did you know you can identify who the brand leaders and the thought leaders are in that space by simply identifying who's got the top podcast in that space? Who's got the top podcast on finances? Who's got the top podcast on relationships? Who's got the top podcast on how to build a plane in your garage? There's podcasts about that. Who's got the top podcast for Startup University on how to do a startup and get funded? Who's got that podcast? So you interview and you target those people. You say, how do I get those people on my podcast? You go buy their book and you stand in line at Barnes & Noble to get your book signed by them and get your picture with them. But prior to standing in line for 5 hours to buy the book, don't be cheap. Always buy the book. Show up with their book in hand, because you'll get that picture when others won't, because you bought the book and you've got the autograph and the selfie with them. But they know who you are because you've been sharing their content on social media for 6 weeks prior to meeting them. That's how you can truly meet anybody. It's called networking. It's the game of networking. You know, when it comes to marketing your book, it's like baking a cake in the kitchen. If you leave out one of the ingredients, you're not going to have a complete recipe and things won't taste right. We're into the holidays here and nobody wants to leave out the sugar when it's coming to making a coconut cream pie. You've got to have all the ingredients. And so marketing is very important. And email marketing is a big part of the brand building. You know, one thing we do every Wednesday evening at 6 Central for Beyond Publishing, we have a mastermind. And in the mastermind this week, we're looking at the new year and we're talking about growing your list. How do you build a database of subscribers that actually open and read your email? You know, I get a 46% open rate on my emails, which is about twice as good as the industry standard open rate. And there's a lot of reasons I get a good open rate. One is I provide valuable content, but also I've had a lot of people opt out of my email list over the years. And that's fine. That's great. There's nothing wrong with people opting out. You want them to opt out because that's good. That means those that are sticking around appreciate and want more of your like-minded content. So I give you a ton of free information here. There's a ton of great information. Even if you don't want to read the book or buy the book, just go to 52authorsecrets.com. 52authorsecrets.com, and you'll get all the content in this book. Or you can just go buy the book and read the book. You could read the book in about a couple of hours, and I talk about how to sell more books. You know, there's going to be 4 million new books published this year alone. By the end of the year, 4 million books just in the U.S. and about 10 million outside of the U.S. So how are you as an author going to stand out? Well, speaking of best-selling author and speaker, we're going to check in with Roger Carlson. And Roger, welcome to the Michael D. Show. How are you today, sir?
Pretty good. I don't see myself. I seem to be invisible.
Well, we see your background. If you can turn on your camera, sir.
I've got stop camera.
We want to say welcome to the Michael D. Show. We're glad you're here.
I'll do everything, but I have start camera.
There's 3 dots in the upper right. If you see that ellipsis, those 3 dots together, you click on that and you can open your camera from there.
All right. So I got the 3 dots, new tab, new window. Settings.
Well, we might need to bring you back, sir. We're glad you're here, and I'll see you in the green room if you're able to enable your camera. Then we definitely want to bring you back on. You're watching the Michael D. Show, all things faith, family, business, and culture every Tuesday morning. We help take your book, your business, your brand to the next level. We feature authors from around the world. We talk about what's going on in the world of literacy. A lot of people thought the internet killed publishing, but readership is up globally, and books have brought us not only out of the dark ages. It's actually the Bible brought us out of the dark ages in the 1500s. That's what brought the Renaissance. Was Gutenberg's printing press brought us out of the dark ages. What will your book do? So if you've already written a book, pop it into the chat. How are you leveraging the book you've already written to gain you more clients, to get you on more media interviews and podcasts and speaking? You see, as a wise marketer, your book should get you on more stages. And by being on more stages, that should get you into more media interviews. And quite frankly, if you haven't started your own podcast in 2024, we need to talk, because you are missing out. Because I've said it before from the very beginning of this book, which first came out in 2015, people are the new media. And when it comes to Google and people Googling words and people Googling phrases and words that have been coined that stick in people's heads, words like cash flow quadrant, words like the E-myth, those kind of words that have revolutionized business, words like blue ocean strategy. These are words that nobody knew what they meant or what they were until somebody published the book called The 1 Minute Manager, Who Moved My Cheese. These are all revolutionary business books that has opened up $100 million industries because it changed the thought process. Cash flow quadrant, huge, epic, seismic shift. What do you want your book to do? Well, I want you to jump on, and if you know an immigrant, a female immigrant that could be a part of the Powerful Female Immigrant Series, or if you know a powerful man that's so busy out there changing the world, supporting nonprofits, speaking everywhere, giving back, making a difference in the world. Maybe he's got a construction company or a roofing business or a landscaping business, who's a first-generation immigrant who has come here and turned things around and hired people and changed people's lives. I want to know about him. I want to know about her. Message me and put me in touch with them, because we're going to interview them and possibly have them on the Powerful Female Immigrants movement, which truly it is a movement now. And I want you to save the date by jumping on the calendar here at thursdaynight.live. We're going to have a couple dozen people sharing their story of 2023, sharing about what's coming up in 2024. Just go to thursdaynight.live. And then I'm going to be sharing again like I do every month, but this time it's going to be even more epic with the end of the year here, is the Beyond webinar, where I teach you how to write a book in 1 hour, how to figure out who is your customer, What action do you want them to take? What difference do you want to make in the world with your book? And maybe you've been stuck for years. You know, I talk to people every week that have been trying to write their book for 6 years or 16 years. One lady recently trying to write her book for 26 years. And so many people through the pandemic that I was able to help with the techniques and the principles that I'm teaching in this book and in this course, because it's called Book Idea to Bestseller in 30 Days. I condense it down where you can make the decision, and I give you the formula on how to do it in literally 1 hour. And you say, Michael, I don't want to wait an hour. I don't want to wait that long. I don't want to wait till the end of December. Great. There's the course. Grab the course. There's the cheat sheet. Because you were here on the Michael D Show, you can take advantage of it right now. Go grab it, watch it, and you'll be ready. And you know what? You could literally have your book out by Christmas. You say, how could I have my book out by Christmas? Could I write it that fast? You possibly could. I've had authors write books in 10 days or 14 days and bring them to me. But what's more likely to happen is when you're rock solid on who your reader is and you're rock solid on what you want them to do as a result of reading your book, we'll come up with a title and subtitle together, and we'll create a beautiful cover design. And once we create that cover design, we can start pre-selling that book next week, so that you're taking advantage of Christmas sales. You're taking advantage of New Year's sales, even though maybe we don't release that book until February, March, or even April or May. You've leveraged the synergy of the holiday sale book traffic. So it's going to be epic. And I'm going to say, sign up for that. Get on the book webinar at bookwebinar.com and sign up for the Thursday night live. If you enjoy meeting other people from around the world, we may even have some guitars. We may have some music. We may have some poetry, because that, my friends, is going to be an epic time. And you can know this, you can rest well knowing that 30% of everything you give to Beyond Publishing goes to support kids and make a difference in their life. 30% of the proceeds from Beyond of the net revenue from Beyond Publishing goes to 1040 Impact. And this is what we do all day long. We take care of 394 girls that we've rescued from human trafficking. And we give them 24/7 care in a safe, loving family environment with vetted employees who love and care for them. Medical treatment, education. They're learning English every day. They're learning math. They're learning history and reading. And just to give them a better life, you can donate at givebutter.com/1040. And super excited about that. Thank you very much. Well, we always love having guests from around the world. And today from Pasadena, California, Roger Carlson is in the house. How are you doing today, Roger? Great to have you. Welcome to the Michael D Show.
Okay. Well, I'm looking up into the world with my new camera here. So
outstanding.
I finally
Well,
made it on. StreamYard is a new thing for me.
We've got some exciting things. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying I've finally made it into StreamYard, even though I'm in a kind of a funny view, but I'll go with this one.
Great to have you here, Roger. Your website is Saving the World Before Breakfast. You've done some amazing things. And tell us a little bit about what you're all about and what is Saving the World Before Breakfast.
Saving the World Before Breakfast came up with the thing. I think the world may be collapsing. Awful things are going to happen. Some people worry about it too much. Some people get harassed because they don't worry enough. Well, I've got the information about it. I first got interested when they had the Green New Deal. They said, hey, we could all die in 10 years from too much heat. And then we've got a program for it. Wait a minute, it's great to put it all together, but wait a minute, you want to take away my McDonald's hamburgers? I got to take the train everywhere. As a lady in Hawaii, Mazie Hirono, the senator, said, how does that work for Hawaii? Well, I came up with a nice fat thing here. see if we can show it. Whoa. There it is. Hiding here is a book with me. Uh-oh. Anyway, I got Saving the World Before Breakfast, A Better Green New Deal. And I spent about 2 years researching that, writing it, and then I went to say that was so good. It said, wait a minute. There's farming and ranching and foresting and fishing. They can do a whole lot all by itself. You can solve global warming. You can suck carbon dioxide out of the air. You can get more food. You can actually make biofuel. You can do all of that. So, saving the world before breakfast, the earth alone can save us. And along the way, I also had just a quote book, a smaller thing, Saving the World Before Breakfast, Keys for You to Invent and Innovate. Those are all at Amazon.com.
Now, Roger,
And now
Saving the World
I've started
Before Breakfast,
speaking on it.
now, it
Yes,
sounds a bit like a cookbook. Is there a special meaning to that title?
Yeah, the special meeting was two things. First of all, people worried about things being too worrisome. So it's an upbeat phrase, saving the world before breakfast. So that was part of it. And then the second thing is food is the most important thing. If you're worried about the environment all crashing, if it's hotter, you can take siestas during the midday and work in the morning and work at night. If it's colder, you put on another jacket. But if you don't have food, you're done. So that was where the title came from, and people like it. It's good to have some fun in there. And yeah, food is the key thing.
What got you interested in disasters and fixes, Roger?
I got started, actually there was a place called Rapid City, and they had a big flood. I was in with the National Guard, and we came in with our backpacks. We were carrying water to houses that were still standing, and we're looking for bodies in the trees. It's like, gee, that was the bad side. But then on the good side, I saw later on, they said, what happened was they built a dam upstream from the city. Well, after the dam was built, people built houses right in the floodplain. And when that happened, they were setting themselves up for a disaster, which 238 people paid the price of that dumb move. Well, after the flood, it said, we're going to have what we call a greenway. And that is the houses went down, and it's parks. It's very beautiful. They have some businesses where there are no houses and no motels or hotels where people are sleeping. Because what happened in the big flood was about midnight, this wall of water came washing down when the dam failed after a heavy rain in the mountains. So
What makes you an expert in disasters and fixes, Roger?
I went to a program at University of Houston, Clear Lake City, which was talking about the future. And it was, they had, there were predictions of utopias, great, and dystopias, bad. Well, a lot of those things came true, but even more were things that happened not at all. So, it gives you a view, plus or minus. The other thing was, I worked for NASA for 30-some years, and some of the stuff I did was looking up the failure reports on things, like if a space shuttle tipped over, what would happen with this cloud of very acidic smoke coming your direction. And so that kind of fit in. So I'll apply that with this worry about the climate change and the oceans rising and all that.
So your first book is about a better Green New Deal. What's the Green New Deal, and why do you think your proposal is better?
As I started to mention, the thing about the Green New Deal was they wanted to fix everything, but they were in a desperate hurry to get it done really fast. They said, okay, the government is going to do all this for you. We're going to decide, we're going to have a national, something like the New Deal in the Depression was a bunch of government things. Well, this would be an even bigger one, like World War II. So they were going to tell you how to rebuild most every structure in the country. They were going to tell you what kind of cars you could have, like you're going to be all in electric cars, and all these things. And I said, no. How about if we have market can be doing it, especially farmers, because maybe a sixth of the world is people that are farming or doing, shrimp farms on the coast. They're going out into the ocean. There's a bunch of things to do it. If people can make money at it, they're going to work a lot harder. Versus a government operation, 5 o'clock, job is done, I'm going home. But
Okay,
Michael D. Butler's got to go do things.
way?
Mhm.
What is your better way, Roger?
Better way, there's 3 major themes that I was hitting. First, as I mentioned, agriculture. Because the farmers work at things, and better farming, like regenerative agriculture, if you put cover crops, like a little grass or alfalfa growing in between the corn, it pulls carbon dioxide down out of the atmosphere, and you get better crops eventually. So agriculture is one. Second, gotta get back to nuclear. It crashed for a while because it made some errors, a new technology. And third, 71% of the Earth is really ocean. That 71% can be farmed, and people are now getting set to do that.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, earlier you said that getting enough food was the most important thing. How do you propose doing that?
There's dozens of things. Some of the first are like I mentioned, regenerative agriculture, which a lot of the environmentalists have said is a great thing to do. And that, like I said, cover crops, they want to replace plows. Who knew? Plows have been the symbol of agriculture since before Thomas Jefferson. He invented a new plow and so on. So no-till agriculture, it puts it just crunches over the top of the plant, the weeds or whatever's there, and instead of plowing, and then it just injects the seeds so you can grow faster. You've got the surface covered. You can get better breeds of plants. You've got robotic things. You even have the robots are coming. They can even replace bees if you have to. Although actually the bees aren't in that big a danger. And farmers, farmers, ranchers, they want to do a little better. There's dozens of more things. Just turn them loose and they'll do it.
So your second major theme was rekindling use of nuclear reactors. Weren't they found to be expensive and dangerous? Perhaps a technology dead end?
That's what a lot of people think that's so, and for good reason, because when they first started, number one, it was the nuclear power plants were for submarines. They were like sports cars, machines. They were touchy, they were expensive. You messed up, you got in trouble. So number two, they said, we'll get around this, we're going to make it even bigger. So they took this touchy technology and made it huge. A better way, which they're just getting into now, it's coming, it's called small modular reactors. You can build them in a factory, you put them on a truck, the crane puts them in the spot, and they run. If they have a problem, a crane comes, picks them up, takes them back to the factory. When you have a factory doing it, it's so much cheaper, so much safer, and then along the way, reprocess the fuel. So you're going to recycle to use as much of it as you can so you don't have to store.
Your third theme is extending industry and agriculture into the deep ocean. Is this practical?
Yes, as a matter of fact, oceans, people, they can go back 8,000 years in Australia and China, where people have had fish farms and things. So that's been happening in the last 40 or 50 years. We've had giant things for oil and gas processing out in the ocean. So you put those together, you can start growing plants and animals all over in the ocean. And again, once you have a huge amount of seaweed, which other people call sea vegetables, the sea vegetables can, again, pull carbon dioxide down. Well, more than one study said the oceans could supply 10 billion people with enough food and enough biofuel to run the cars. So it's all there. It's just if you're hungry enough, you're ready to try it, it's there.
What is one disaster and fix that really stands out?
Actually, I've got a couple. The first one that sticks in my mind is in much of Europe, particularly Ireland, the peasants were getting crowded for getting enough land to work. The people in charge were pushing them into smaller and smaller areas. So then they found they got potatoes. Potatoes were wonderful. They produced so much more food. But the problem was they only got a few breeds of potatoes from the New World, from Peru, actually. And one year it got very rainy and there was a potato blight. That caused a famine. It's called the Irish potato famine, although many other places got problems. Later on, they said, now we've got different types of plant varieties we can breed resistance in. And that's something plant breeders do to this day. And maybe we should do a lot more. So there it is.
Is the Titanic syndrome discussed in one of your books?
Yes, that was the other thing. The Titanic was not just poor peasants. This is the richest, fanciest cruise ship built to its time. And that's a book that's coming. The Titanic syndrome. That seems to apply in a whole bunch of places, and it applies to the Irish potato famine. They had one thing that they missed. They needed more variety in the crops that they could grow. So likewise, it's been discussed. Consultants for businesses say, yeah, look, this is what happened in a lot of industry. Kodak dominated all kinds of photography for decades. Then they had experts who told them, there's digital photography that's coming. You've got the money, you could do digital photography. They didn't. Kodak has now disappeared. There is no more Kodak. Titanic syndrome. They essentially hit an iceberg, just like the Titanic, and they sank financially.
Why should our audience flock to your books and speeches?
Because they can flock to me because, number one, I've got some fun stories where people mess up, and then even better stories where they finally fix things. That makes the world a whole lot better place. And there's a whole lot of different issues that come up, but they all come back to look to where you can invent and innovate. Again, with the food in Ireland, they went to potatoes. They crashed with that in one place, but then they got a bunch of other crops. They got industry. So now Ireland is doing quite well because they do all those things. You name it, it all comes back to invention, innovation.
Well, it's been great to have you, Roger, on the Michael D. Show today. You've been listening to the Michael D. Show, where we talk about faith, family, business, and culture every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Central. Epic guests from around the world. Our guest today, Roger Carlson. You can be found at Saving the World Before Breakfast, and that's the best way to get a hold of him for podcasts, for media interviews, and for stage presentations. Roger, thanks for being with us. It's the top of the hour, and tune in next week where we'll have other amazing guests on the show. We appreciate you for being with us. And remember, you can make a difference. It is December, and it's not too late to complete your 2023 New Year's resolutions. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.